Welcome to today's live video. I'm Peggy O'Neill. I'm the founder of this Facebook group, Answering the Call, and the originator of Wisdomary Leading, which we'll continue to talk more about. And I'm so glad that you're with us today. If you are watching this live, please put say hi. Sorry. Please say hi that you're here in person, and then when if you have any questions or comments, please put them in there, and I will come back and answer them. And if you're watching this on replay, same thing. Put in hashtag replay any questions or comments. I will come back and answer them. So let's begin. Well, before we begin, so the purpose of us being here is to answer that call, that longing, that sense that there's something more to life. So we're listening to that, and what we're doing, instead of looking for that more out there in the world, we're realizing that it's right here. It's right here. It's called the direct path. And then the fascinating thing is, once we know that it's right here and we're experiencing it. So I'm using know in the way not like learning, but know in the way like I know how to tie my shoes. I know my name. We know it with all our being. So when we know who we truly are and know the love and the peace and the happiness that we already are and feel that, then that permeates our being. And then imagine how we are out in the world with the things that we're feeling a desire to create. Our business to go a certain way, relationships to be more loving and peaceful. Anything else that we're doing, we're infusing then our actions, our conversations, our activities, our relationships with that being, that knowing. And then, no telling what we can create from there. So that's why we're here today. Specifically, what we're focusing on is how to stay in the flow. And I say how to stay in the flow because, as we'll see here in a minute, we actually are the flow. So we're going to explore that we actually are the flow, always already in the flow, as the flow. 2 ways to stay in or return to the flow, and why we might want to experience the flow consistently, or as consistently as we remember to, because we will forget, we do forget. That's normal because we get caught up in our thoughts, our activities, what's happening in our lives, and then we forget because we're caught up in that. And then we notice, oh, I'm not experiencing the flow right now. Let me return to that. So let's start with why we want to experience the flow consistently, or as consistently as we can. Flow is our natural being. Think about it. We're one with the universe. It's like one great ocean. So we are the universe. We are the flow. We are the vibration of energy. That's the flow. We can't get out of it because we are it. We can feel like we're out of it. We can even think that we're out of it. In fact, we've been conditioned to think that we have to do something to get into the flow. No, we're already there. We've just come up with some beliefs and patterns and activities and ways of thinking and doing that seem to take us away from there. But we actually are already it. So if we are the flow, then guess what? We have access to, and then we know it in this different way, and then it's easier to access it, easier for it to be revealed to us. We have access to infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence. We have access to infinite wisdom. Again, it is already us. But the more we are the flow, open to the flow, know and experience the flow, then we'll notice the intelligence and the wisdom that's always there, that's trying to reveal itself to us. But if we feel clogged up, because what can happen is we get ourselves clogged up with all of our habits and beliefs and emotions. So it's stuff that's trying to come to us. It's pretty hard to get to us in a way that we can know it, understand it, let the creativity express through us, because we've got ourselves so clogged up. So, but it's always trying to express fully through us if we'll just let it. If we'll just let it. It's trying. So, but anyway, so that's where the ideas come from. I've been watching some panels talk about, or not panels, but groups of people talking about the Oppenheimer movie that's out or about to come out. And they mentioned Einstein and how he was able to imagine things and see things. Well, it's because he was more open like that. He didn't use his mind a lot to figure this stuff out. He let it come to him. He let it come to him, be revealed to him. So he was in the world that way. He understood what we're talking about today. So that's the sort of thing. I mean, I'm just so the world, so many things are changing in the world, things are falling apart. What does that also say? Stuff's wanting to come out. Stuff's thinking when something falls apart, what happens? That creates an opening. There's lots of innovation, creativity that is just right there trying to come out. So it's our job to get aligned with it so that it can. So that, and then the same thing with money. If we're not bringing money in, we got something clogging that flow up because we are abundant. The universe is abundant. All you have to do is look at one tree and realize with all the leaves on there, the universe is abundant. So if you're not experiencing the abundance, the flow, well, it's because it's blocked. You got it blocked. We have it blocked. So money, relationships, and ease in relationships, ease in the workplace, ease in productivity. Now, I say that, I'm not saying that by opening the flow in the way that we're talking about today, being open to it and experiencing it more consistently, that then life is just, a bowl of cherries, that nothing ever happens. No, that's not true. Things will happen. But think about it. If we're living knowing the flow and the peace and the abundance and the ease more often, then we'll be much more resilient, much more able to address and be with what's out of alignment with that. So things will come up. We'll just be much better at responding to them, addressing them, have more resources available to us. So things will still happen, but it'll just be a totally different context, relationship with them, and ability to be with them. So those are some ideas about why I think why we might want to think about really pursuing what I'm talking about today and living it more fully. I'll see if anybody here has any other ideas about why it might be valuable to be in the flow. Do we have any other thoughts about that? Okay, none right now. So we actually are the flow. I've said a lot already. Always already in the flow as the flow. That's who we are. We're one with the universe. We're not even connected to the universe. Connected to something means that we have to have two things that are connected. But we're one with the universe. There's no connection. There's just one never-ending being. Yes, our experience is that there is separation. That's necessary for us to live in and navigate the world as it is. But we've also been conditioned to experience the world as separate, and that's just conditioning. That's when we really check in with our experience, which we do in the praxis and and what I do with other clients all the time is we keep checking in and realize our experience is different than what we've been conditioned to believe and then therefore to feel. So when we develop our ability to sense the world more, to sense into the world more, to pay attention to what we're actually experiencing, then we really experience that we're one with everything. No connection, no disconnect. It's all one flowing experience. So that helps to be in the flow and to stay in the flow is to remember that. That it's just our conditioning that makes us feel and think and live otherwise. All right, so what are two ways to stay in the flow? One way that's key, it's not easy to do, is to not listen to our thoughts. unless, I mean, that are about us or about other people. And by that, I mean any sort of judgments, any sort of shoulds, shouldn'ts, who you think you are, labels, all of that, anything that's self-referencing. And in that way, also, even though it might be about other people, that it's self-referencing, like it's something about your relationship with them or them in relationship with you. You don't need to pay any attention to those. Think about them. They say that at least 70% of our thoughts are negative. Occasionally in the praxis, we'll take that up again, where we write down the thoughts that are coming to us throughout the day that are inconsistent with who we truly are. That's those kinds of thoughts I'm talking about right now. Or the ones that overly exaggerate. Oh yeah, I was so much better than him. So it might sound like that's not a negative thought, but it actually is. It's negative because now we're putting somebody else down and we're creating separation. Oh, I was so much better than he was at that event. That's putting them down, creating separation. So you might want to do that for at least a week. Every time you notice these negative thoughts, write them down. You'll notice patterns, but it also helps us release, relax the focus from them, because we start realizing that's happening. And so rather than them just bombarding us and us not really realizing that's what's happening, then when we write them down, we're paying attention to them, then we can notice, oh, there's that thought. And then we don't need to pay attention to it. And we can't change our thoughts. I'm not at all talking about changing our thoughts. We cannot change our thoughts because they just appear to us. We're not creating the thought. It just appears to us. It comes to us. And so we can't change them, but we don't have to listen to them. We don't have to pay attention to them. We don't have to do what they say. We don't have to follow through with what they say. Like, I'm no good at that. A lot of people follow through on that thought. We don't need to do that. So don't do it. All right. So that's one way, not listen to thoughts. Again, it takes some real practice. It can be very hard at certain times, but that's one way. Very important. And then another way to actually work with that way is to relax the focus of attention. So when you can tell that you're getting caught up in your thoughts and maybe you're finding it challenging to not pay attention, what you can say to yourself silently is relax the focus of attention. And then pause until your attention does relax from that thought. You can say it again, relax the focus of attention, until you can sense that now you're in that open, vast space that you are, the flow that you are. So that's one way. The other way is to zoom out. So what does that mean? Zoom out means that you realize, again, you're focusing on thoughts or emotions. Same thing. Everything I'm saying you can apply to emotions as well, except for paying attention to them. We've talked about how to work with emotions another time, so I'm not going to bring that back up today. But even if you're not working with emotions, just when emotions come up, that same thing. You don't have to pay attention to them, and you can relax the focus of attention. And then when you zoom out, so you notice you're paying attention to thoughts or paying attention to emotions. What you do is you just zoom out your attention. Just relax your attention from anything in particular and expand the focus. Take in all the sights, the sounds, all the objects, all the activities. Just take it all in. I mean, not take it in, but let your attention go to all of it. Your attention expand to all of it. You don't have to open your eyes wide like I just did, but allow yourself to expand your attention and realize that you can do that, and everything can be in your attention around you within, of course, sight-wise to a certain extent, back this way. So expand, and then after a little bit, expand further, and expand further, and expand further as far as you can. And just keep that up as well, and that'll help you feel back in the flow. You're taking your attention off your mind, which is what's so important here, and then you're experiencing the vastness of yourself, and you do start experiencing the flow. Both the things that I've talked about today, you can actually do in shorter amount of time than it took me to explain them. And you don't have to spend a lot of time doing either one of them, like zooming out. You can just do it for 10 seconds, 30 seconds. You can do it longer if you want. So it's not about the amount of time, it's about the experience, and let yourself fully experience it. And then do it off and on throughout the day. Anytime you think of either of these activities, just do them when you think of them. It's not a practice, it's just something that we've gotten ourselves all tied up like this, like a clenched fist. What we're doing is relaxing who we think we are. So it feels like we're doing something, but we're um, actually doing what's really natural for us, to be expansive, to not need to focus on our thoughts. That's just conditioning that we do that. So we're relaxing out of habits. All right, so are there any questions or comments? All right, I don't see any. So quickly to recap, we actually are the flow, yet many of us don't experience life that way. Sometimes we say we're stuck, or we're feeling emotions that have us all knotted up, maybe apprehension, anxiety, fear, loneliness, anything like that. And so what we can do is maybe remember why we would like to be experiencing the flow all the time, just what's available to us, plus how we feel and how we can be in relationship, and the creativity and expression that we're freeing up by knowing we are the flow and living as the flow. And then remembering we are the flow, we're always there. We cannot get out. We can think we're out, which in our experience then we feel like we're out, but we can never be out. And then stay in or return to the flow by not paying attention to thoughts and or relaxing the focus of attention. The same thing with emotions. And then zoom out as often as you think of any of that to do. All right, it's been great being with you today and sharing this information. Hope it makes a difference for you. And please let me know anytime you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore. I'm happy to take any suggestions on what to talk about, or if you have any questions, then I will answer them. Thank you.